Hello everyone, welcome back to my craft table. Today I'm going to be creating a really fun nighttime scene with a set of dies from Spellbinders. Let me show you what this looks like. It's called Mushroom Mansion. It is from the Out and About series, and there are a lot of dies in this little set. It's a layering set, and there are 14 dies. I went ahead and cut out all of my dies off camera. And of course, all of these dies are meant to fit with their new Scout mini die cutting machine. That's what I used to cut all of these out. At first, I didn't think the large mushroom house would fit through that machine, but it did just perfectly. So let's start out with a little bit of ink blending with some distress inks. I haven't used my distress inks for a very long time, and I do love them. So I'm going to pull a few of those out today. And I'm starting out by making a mask for my scene out of some Post-it note paper. This is the full sticky back Post-it note paper. I'm using a circle just to cut out a moon. And I cut out 2 pieces of the sticky note paper just in case I needed an extra mask. And if you're going to follow along with me, make sure you don't cut out the negative space. Just put that aside for later. Let's peel off one of these masks and put it on the cardstock. This is a piece of 120-pound cardstock. I'm using the Accents Opaque white cardstock. I use this for my card bases too because it's nice and heavyweight. So let's start out with the lightest color first. This is some tumbled glass, and I'm starting out around the moon with this pale color. I will go back and build it up just a bit. And I'm going to bring in a darker blue, which is called Salty Ocean. I'll go around the light blue ink with this. The darkest blue that I have is called Chipped Sapphire, and I'll just continue on in the same way. My ink pads are getting kind of dry, so I am going to have to work at this a little bit more. I don't have the re-inkers for these colors in my stash. So I'm going to have to put that on my list. Let's see how dark I can get this. I'm going back and forth with the different colors. And then last I'm going to come in with some black soot, mostly just around the edges. Let's see if I can darken up this chipped sapphire a little bit more. The black soot is what makes it look really dark and dramatic. Most of this is going to be covered, so I'm not worried too much about a smooth blend. But of course, I'm trying my best to get it as smooth as I can. And I'm allowing some of the white cardstock around the moon just to stay white. Okay, that looks good. Next step, I'm going to add a stencil over it called All the Stars. I had this in my stash for a while. It's from Spellbinders from several years back. And I'm going to pair this with some new pastes. These are a new release from Simon Hurley. They're called Astro Pastes, and I'm using the one called Slippery When Wet. You have probably seen other crafters using these already, but I picked up the whole collection of these Astro Pastes. I love Simon Hurley's lunar pastes, and my particular favorite color is Slippery When Wet. So I was so excited when he came out with the same colors but with glitter in them. So here are the colors that he has in his release so far. And here is the Slippery When Wet. So let's try this out. And it looks kind of milky. So I wasn't sure about this, so I'm just going to go over the whole panel with this. The moon is still protected by the mask, and I didn't even bother allowing my panel to dry, so the ink is still relatively wet. So let's see how this looks over this wet ink. The stars on this stencil are really small, so I'm just taking my time and trying to get paste into each and every little star. And then I can scrape the excess back into the tub. All of the glitter in this paste feels really gritty, so I'm going to take off my stencil and my palette knife and wash them right away. Here's a close-up look, but it's not dry yet. I'm going to set this aside for a few minutes. I'll take off the mask. I'm being kind of careful with it because I've allowed it to dry for about 10 minutes. But I want to clean off my sticky mat. I'll pull this off very carefully. And I'll set this aside again to dry. While that is continuing to dry, I'm going to put together the mushroom mansion now. I cut it out with some blues, and these colors will help it to look like it's a nighttime scene. I'll put the dark blue cap on the mushroom, and then there's a piece that goes right under it. I used a lighter blue for that. And I'll do the same for the smaller mushroom. This has a lot of layering pieces to it. It just makes it look so cute. And then for the insides of the windows, I want the cardstock to be yellow, so I'm going to use some double-sided adhesive on the back, just a small strip of it over the windows. And then I can insert the yellow cardstock. I had to cut this whole thing out with yellow just to get the little window inserts. And this will hold them in place nicely. You have to make sure that you put them in the right way because they have a little bit of a wonky shape to them, which makes them look really cute. Let's pop the last window in, and I'll make sure it's the right way, right position for it. And now for the window casings, I cut these out with some brushed black cardstock just to give them a little bit of shimmer. I cut out the door with some dark brown cardstock. It's called Timber. The dark brown gives it a little touch of warmth. And now that the house is put together, I'm going to add some shading to this. On the left side of this house, I'm going to add some yellow distress ink. This will be the reflection from the moon. Just adding a touch of this. I don't want to overdo it. And then on the right side, I'm going to add some dark blues. And then I'm even going to come in with some black soot. This will make it look more dramatic. I think I could have gone even darker just to add a little more drama. I wish I had the time to create a practice card before I made the actual card I show you on camera, but I guess we learn as we go, and it's a lot of fun. I'll add some black soot at the bottom of the house. And I really like how this turned out. And then I'm going to set this aside and work on the background a little bit more. The paste has dried. I'm going to put the negative piece over the moon. It just needed a little more definition. So I'm going to add some yellow distress ink very gently on this circle. I'll just mostly go around the edges. But I want some of that bright white to still show through. It just makes it look like it's shining bright. I'll attach this panel onto a navy blue, or this is indigo blue cardstock. I did cut this panel down a little bit so that I could have a matting around it. And now I'm ready to build my scene. I'm going to put just one foam square on the back. I want to have plenty of room to tuck things behind the house, but I do want the house to stay in place. So first I'll attach the grass behind the house. And then I'll put the house on top of that. And then I cut out a bunch of leaves and greenery and florals to put around. Here is a little teeny tiny mushroom. I'll put at the bottom. Nothing's glued down yet. I cut out each piece twice, once with a dark color of cardstock and again with some bright yellow. This is a really fun and cute way to add highlights from the moon onto my dark greenery. So of course, I'll attach the yellow piece on the side that the moon will hit it. And then all of this is going down flat, and I'll just tuck it behind the house. Most of these pieces I cut out with indigo blue cardstock. This piece right here I cut out with some purple plum. And I'm not putting a highlight on this one because it's going right in front of the moon. And here are some more leaves. This time I'll put the highlighted die cut piece on the right. I'm going to trim this piece down, and then I can tuck it behind the house. I have some yellow flowers next. And then another tall blade of grass or a leaf. I guess it could be either. And then one more of these fern-looking plants on the right side of the house. This just creates such a fun scene. Now that everything has been situated on my card, I'm going to add more foam squares behind the house. This will keep it from flopping off, and it will keep it from sagging when it goes through the mail. So I'm going to put a lot of foam squares behind this. I was going to leave it blank without a sentiment, but in the last picture, you'll see that I do decide to add a sentiment to this card. I couldn't think of a good sentiment to put on this nighttime scene, but I'll show you what I came up with in just a minute. Let's attach this to the card base with some glue. I like to use liquid glue whenever possible because it's a lot cheaper than tape runner. And you can easily use it on thick cardstock like this. Here is a close-up look at the finished card, and the sentiment just simply says hello. And I cut that out with more of the sun-kissed yellow cardstock. I hope that you give this technique a try. It's really fun coming up with nighttime scenes using your dies and your stamps. As always, I'll have the links to all of the products that I used listed in the description box below. Happy crafting, my friends. Until next time. Bye.